We've learned how to build our application using Maven command and how to run a deployable jar file as a standalone application. And when we executed that jar file, our application started inside of Apache Tomcat container. So Apache Tomcat container is built into our executable jar file. But sometimes we do not need Apache Tomcat to be built into our executable jar file. Sometimes we need to have a simple web application archive and then deploy that web application archive into existing Apache Tomcat container, which already runs and has many other web projects deployed to it. So in this video, we will learn how to package our application into a web application archive, and then you can use that web application archive to deploy it into a standalone running Apache Tomcat. So to do that, we will need to make a couple of changes into our existing project. We will need to open our Java class, which contains public static void main. And we will need to make it extend Spring Boot Servlet Initializer. So let me extend it and let me import it. Once we extend Spring Boot Servlet Initializer, there is one method that we will need to override, and I will paste the implementation of that overridden method. So we will need to override the configure method. So let me import Spring Application Builder and save this. So this is one change that we need to make. Another change is to our POM.xml file. So I'll open POM.xml file as a source file, switch to its XML view. And here, if we look at this part of XML, we see that the packaging is currently set to jar. We need to change that, and we will use Web Application Archive as a packaging. So now when Maven builds our project, it will not use jar, but rather var as a file extension. Another change that we need to do into a list of dependencies. Currently, when project is built, Apache Tomcat will be built into our project. And this is what makes our application start up and run within the built-in Apache Tomcat. So now we'll specify that the dependencies for Apache Tomcat will be provided not at the compile time, but at the runtime. So right here before the test dependency, I will paste one more dependency, and this is for Spring Boot Starter Tomcat. We now need to specify the scope which is provided, and that means that dependencies will be provided at the runtime rather than compile time. So let me format my source, and I should be able to run this application now and see a deployable web application archive generated in the target folder. So let me switch to a terminal window, and right now I'm inside of my project. So what I will do, I will list files, and I currently see target folder. And if I list files inside of the target folder, I will be able to see the classes and the generated deployable jar file. What I will do, I will use Maven command to clean my project, and that will remove the target folder. So I have cleaned my project. I will list files again, and I no longer have the target folder and the deployable jar file that was generated. Now I will use Maven install command to build my project again and to package it into a web application archive. Okay, my project is built, and if you noticed here that web app has been assembled and Maven built a web application archive for us, and it placed it inside of the target folder with the name, our project name, and then the version .web application archive. So everything worked, and we can list files inside of the target folder. And here we go. Instead of the jar file, we now have a web application archive file. And now we can use it to deploy this file into our Tomcat.